Welcome to Speed Campaigning with the Palm Coast Observer. I'm Brian McMillan, the newspaper's editor, and I'll be your host, and I'm here with Milissa Holland, who is running for Palm Coast Mayor. So thank you for coming on, Melissa.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we're going to do this in 3 segments. First is the big picture. Then we're going to do a speed round where I will read a series of statements, and Melissa will answer in the form of a number. And then we'll do take 2, where she can pick a couple of those and get another chance to explain why she gave that number. So first off, how old are you, and how long have you lived in Flagler County?
I am 44 years old, and I have lived here for 29 years.
And what is the thing you've accomplished that makes you feel the most qualified to be mayor?
You know, when I served on the county commission, there was a moment that I believe was most significant for the residents of Palm Coast. We had an issue with the state, with DEP and FDOT. They were both mandating that City of Palm Coast come in and build a walkover on Old Kings Road, costing the taxpayers over $6 million. The city felt strongly that it wasn't necessary. We had to go to Tallahassee. I was chair of the commission at the time. Mayor Netz called on me to go with him. We stood shoulder to shoulder before the governor and cabinet, advocated our position very strongly, and we got a unanimous vote in favor of us not building that walkover. It's those types of issues that I continue to fight for while I was on the county commission, and I believe it clearly makes me, A, the most qualified, but B, the most effective as mayor.
Okay, very good. The next question is, what are your top 3 priorities in office?
Yes. Well, the one big one, it stands out, everybody's aware of it, this constant conflict between city and county. When I first ran for the county commission in 2006, the city and county were suing each other over water wars. It was sort of bizarre at the time to watch 2 governmental entities go through that process. It caused me to run and institute intergovernmental meetings automatically. That is my top priority. We have got to stop this continuum going back and forth. Second priority is to make sure that we're balancing our infrastructure needs with future growth. It's going to happen. We have 3 very large development projects that are going to come into play in the next few years, and we have to be positioned well for it, not only for our current residents, but future residents. And quality of life is a big issue for me. It always has been. I want to make sure that we're continuing to keep an eye on what brought everybody here to begin with. It's a beautiful community. There's no doubt that those types of principles will attract different companies that want to relocate here, continuing to draw visitors as well as people coming to live here.
Okay, that's the big picture of Milissa Holland's campaign. we're going to go next to the speed round. So I've got 11 statements, and if you can answer them on a scale of 1 to 10, or 10 you completely agree, 1 you completely disagree.
Okay.
All right? The city and county governments have a good working relationship.
1.
There is a duplication of service with fire EMS between the city and the county.
1.
The city and county should consolidate fire EMS, even if it might mean putting the county in charge as the lead agency.
1.
The city will need to raise taxes to meet the needs of its citizens in the next 4 years.
1.
The city charter should be reviewed by a committee of citizens.
8.
City council members' salaries are too low and should be raised to the level of a full-time worker.
1.
The city manager position has the right amount of authority to make the city run smoothly.
The right amount of authority, that's an interesting question. Wow. 7.
Jim Landon is doing a good job at the city manager position for Palm Coast.
Again, that's an interesting question. I've not worked with Jim in that capacity, so.
Got to go with a number.
Okay.
Well, you can explain yourself after if you want to pick that one.
I will definitely come back to one.
Okay. Jim Landon is doing a good job at the city manager position for Palm Coast. 1 to 10.
I'll say 8.
Hiring Buxton is to recruit retailers was money well spent.
1.
city's code enforcement department is too strict.
Agree is to 10.
Agree is high, yeah. Too strict.
Yes, I would say 6.
And last one is, the city is doing a good job at being friendly to businesses.
3.
Okay, so we have our data now. Now, last is take 2. So if you want to pick a couple of those answers
Sure.
and elaborate a little bit, that would be great.
Sure, I think it's important I take on the 2 city manager questions.
Okay.
Fire, I have a very strong reasoning for my answer, but I'd be happy to discuss that further at a different time. But as far as not having worked with Jim Landon in that capacity, I worked with him when I was on the county commission. I also worked with him while I was advocating on behalf of clients with Southern Strategy Group. I don't think it's fair to evaluate someone in that capacity when you haven't been or seen the day-to-day operations and going on. My position has always been that a proper evaluation is necessary. I instituted that on the county commission with Craig Coffey. I made sure that those evaluations were very transparent. A discussion that we had amongst ourselves publicly as a governing body. It could be very uncomfortable for the city or county manager to go through that process, but I think it's a necessary one. So I want to make sure that we're doing those annual evaluations. And if there are areas of serious concern, I want to address those immediately and take action immediately.
Okay, very good. Is that all you want to say about the city manager? Because I couldn't tell.
Yes, and then what was
so the evaluation part was
yes.
the second one.
Okay. Yes.
We're good?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. Okay, well that's Milissa Holland's campaign, speed campaigning for the Palm Coast Observer. August 4th, in your driveway, you'll get an election guide where you can see all the answers of the candidates side by side. And don't forget to vote on August 30th in the primary.